before I start today, I've got to recommend, have you seen Staged, which is just hit BBC iPlayer, and it stars David Tennant and Michael Sheen. It's all set around the lockdown situation, and so it's kind of as if it's all recorded over Zoom and that kind of thing in isolation. And it's absolutely brilliant. It's so funny, witty, brilliantly written, very clever, very well performed. You've got to see it. I think it's brilliant. Staged, go to BBC iPlayer. I'm sure it'll be straight up there at the top. Otherwise, search for it. And there you go. Let me know what you think. It's really, really good. Subscribe to YouTube, please. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Links down there. That's about it. Obviously our digital issue is also, you need to go to the website for that, but register and subscribe to the digital issue, and you can have a look at some of the interviews we've done with some of the big celebs. And you know what, the more interviews we do with celebs, the more we find a pattern developing, and the more successful they seem to be, the more at ease they are about talking about their roots, how they came through to where they are today, the successful position they're in today. And you know what we find? Nearly all of them say that they've been very lucky, or they were in the right place at the right time at some point in their career, otherwise they wouldn't be where they were today. I just want to share with you 3 interviews we've done. I've covered some of them before, but it's 3 great examples of right time, right place, and we'll do more of this stuff. But what I've done is I've printed off some of the interviews. That's why I've got a bit of paper here. Otherwise, it's one take. These are one take videos, guys, guys and gals. One take videos, all off the top of my head, but I have just printed out some of the interviews here, just in case I need to read them to you rather than reference the information for myself. So, Kerry Ellis, commonly known as the Queen of the West End, done lots with Brian May from Queen, done lots in the West End, played so many leads such as We Will Rock You, Miss Saigon, Les Mis, Wicked, Oliver, Cats, Jesus Christ Superstar, Chess. And as I say, she's worked with Brian May, loads and loads of people, Josh Groban, Idina Menzel, Marty Polo. It goes on and on. Royal Variety Performance. She's done probably absolutely everything. Went to train in Epsom at Lane's Theatre Academy. I think Louise Dearman was her good chum when they were growing up together. But if you remember, years ago, Kerry Ellis was the second cover, not even the first cover, second cover for Martine McCutcheon when Martine was in My Fair Lady playing Eliza Doolittle. Do you remember that? For the National Theatre? I went to see it. I went to see Martine in it. And I think she was very good, actually. But she had a lot of time off. I think the excuse at the time was vocal problems, vocal cords and that kind of thing, and strain, and I don't know if there's different stories underneath the surface there, but that's what we were told at the time. Anyway, Kerry was second cover. Martine had a lot of time off, so there was a lot of opportunity for Kerry to play the lead. And this is what she said in the interview. Because I asked her if Martine hadn't been ill, you know, and she hadn't been in the right place at the right time to get her big break, because that was her big break, does she think she'd have still been successful? And she says she would. She says, haha, that's a good question actually. I think I still would be, because although she was poorly as a cover, perhaps I would have got on stage anyway, and even if I didn't, I believe I'm probably still the same talent, so I hope I still would have gone on to do the same thing. Yes, it massively put my name on the map and made people aware of me, but I don't necessarily think it would have stopped me doing anything I'm doing now. Let's hope not. Interestingly, Kerry appeared also in the very, very, very first ever series of The Voice before anyone knew what it was. You know, when the judges spin around in their chairs. And Kerry performed Son of a Preacher Man in front of them. Obviously after she was famous, after she'd done all these leading parts. And rather humiliatingly, none of the judges turned round, which leads me to think perhaps they know who is coming on stage. Perhaps they've been briefed in some way, because Kerry was already successful and no one turned round for her. Interesting. Second up, Michael Crawford, who we have spoken about before. He got his big break to do with his vocal coach. Let me read some of the interview and you'll understand where I'm coming from. Michael says, I hadn't had any training when I did the movie Hello Dolly. Back then it was a very weak and thin voice, as it was in the film. A funny thing happened on the way to the forum. Then I suddenly found this wonderful music teacher, Am-dram, through John Barry, the composer of the musical Billy. He insisted that I went to see this singing teacher so that I'd last 8 shows a week, and I went to him for the next 30 years, and out of that came Phantom, so without that training I would never have found that voice. I had met Andrew Lloyd Webber before, but only once. Sarah Brightman had the same singing teacher, Ian, and they came early for her lesson and were waiting downstairs in the kitchen, underneath where I was upstairs practicing Handel's Care Selve, and murdering it most probably, Michael said. Andrew apparently came bursting in the room after I'd gone, saying, "Who was that?" And Ian quickly apologised as if it had offended him, but Andrew said, "No, I think we found our Phantom." So talk about the right place at the right time. That was incredible, wasn't it? And the rest is history. Obviously, this comes after Some Others Do Have 'Em. Who knew Michael Crawford was the future Phantom of the Opera? The first ever Phantom of the Opera, and he'd make such a big thing for himself. Now, also, the third one I want to tell you about is Derek Jacoby, who we have spoken about from issue number 31. Just to let you know, Michael Crawford was on the cover of issue number 14, and Kerry Ellis is on the cover of issue number 26. And we'll put those covers up and pictures from the interviews we did in the features. And if you want to subscribe to the website, the digital issue, you can, obviously. Now, Derek says he's 80 years old, 82 years old. He's very, very successful. Of course, he is Sir Derek Jacoby. He's done everything he possibly can, I would think. You know, great friends with Ian McKellen. Went into the Rep Theatre. By the way, tomorrow I'm going to try and talk about Rep Theatre and how it's obviously a dying art form, but how many of our most successful ever actors went to Rep Theatre rather than drama school, which is all very interesting. But Derek told me I've been very lucky. Simple as that. He says I've been dogged by luck, by good luck, all my career. I think nowadays I'll probably take the television route. Theatre can have its drawbacks. When you're performing 8 times a week, you have a whole other set of disciplines to look at and obstacles to overcome. It's harder on stage, much harder, much more stressful, much more frightening, but much more rewarding. As long as you accept the parameters, then the biggest job satisfaction comes from theatre. Now, this is how Derek outlines how lucky he was and how he was in the right place at the right time. While at Birmingham Rep, the last audition I did was for the Royal Shakespeare Company, and they accepted me, which was really just to play small parts and understudy. So I went back to the Birmingham Rep and said that Peter Hall wanted me at Stratford, to which they said go without blessing, and then about a fortnight later I had a message to go over to Stratford to audition, in quotes, when I already thought I got the job. So there's a little there's a little thing about Derek when he was younger and perhaps a little more ego-driven than he is now. So I wandered out onto the stage at Stratford, and there in front of me was the Olympus of directors. There was Michael St. Denis, Peter Brook, Peter Wood, Clifford Williams, Peter Hall, all sitting out there. They asked me to read Ariel, and afterwards Peter Brook came down to the footlights and said the equivalent of "Don't call us, we'll call you" to Derek Jacoby. Then I got a letter from Peter Hall saying, "We don't think you're quite ready for the company, the RSC." So I had to go back to the people at Birmingham Rep and say, "Can I have my job back?" And this is why I've been so lucky, Derek says. They said yes, and this was in 1963. 57 years ago. It was the 50th anniversary of the Birmingham Rep, and to celebrate they were going to do 3 Shakespeare plays they'd never done before. Titus Andronicus, Cressida and Troilus, and Henry VIII. They offered me Aaron in Titus, Troilus and Henry VIII for 15 weeks in Rep. And it was while I was doing that Laurence Olivier came talent scouting. I'll read the next bit. In Henry VIII I was sharing a dressing room with Cardinal Wolsey, and I used to get out very quickly after matinees, so after this particular performance I had changed already. As Henry, of course, I had all this padding, the lot, because Derek Jacoby is quite slight, he's not a very big person. There was a knock at the door, and in he came. Arthur, who was playing Cardinal Wolsey, was still in full drag, so Laurence Olivier came up to me and said, "Well done, well done." And then he went over to Arthur and raved about his performance, and then he left. But about 30 seconds later, he came back in and said, "You were Henry?" And I said, "Yes, love." Then I got a bit of a rave and a job. So there we go. Isn't that amazing? Derek Jacoby saying how he was in the right place at the right time. Very lucky. And it goes on and on. And as I say, tomorrow I'll try and talk about Rep Theatre a little bit. Because in Rep Theatre, we can cite Michael Crawford, Ian McKellen, Judi Dench, Dame Judi Dench, Frank Finlay, Imelda Staunton, Richard Bryce, Vanessa Redgrave, it goes on. So Derek Jacoby, Peter Cook, Trevor Dunn, Corinne Redgrave. They all went to Rep Theatre, as you could get into the profession that way. And it was a great way to learn on the job. And as I say, I'll talk about that more tomorrow. I mustn't look at this paper anymore, or I'll start talking about it today and we don't have time. So there we are for now. All that stuff, subscribe to the YouTube channel, there's the link, blah blah blah. Get the digital issue if you can, digital issue off the website, register, subscribe to that, and you'll have some nice reading material in this lovely extra period of lockdown we've now got. So that's it for now. Stay safe, stay well. We certainly will be back. See you tomorrow. Bye.